talk a little bit about an incident response plan. That's probably a Lynn question. Anybody else feel free to jump in. So we talked a little bit about, hey, you got to have a plan, first of all, and you got to know probably where it is. What else is important, Lynn?
The next important piece is testing that plan. I happen to know that the moderator did want to go in this angle, so I'm going to take this angle, Andy, okay?
Okay.
Tabletop exercises. Once you have your incident response plan, you've been through what they talked about this morning on stage. You don't want to do that again. Let's just do that around a tabletop together instead of doing the real thing. So what you want to do, we love to help you with tabletop exercises, we being the cybersecurity team. We will develop a scenario for you with all kinds of injects. So for example, let's start our scenario on Thursday in a lunchroom conversation. I tell Sean, you know what, HR sent me an email last week and I had to update my emergency contacts. So I clicked a link, entered my credentials, and then I got some weird error message on the web page. I got distracted, I never got back to it. You know, did you have that, Sean? Did you enter yours? Well, okay, everybody, let's take a look at this. Are there any red flags here? What would you do? How would you report it? Let's talk about all the things that you would do. And we run through the whole entire scenario like that. Bring all of your people together, all of the decision makers together in one big room, and let's walk through, we don't want to have a bad day, but what would having a bad day look like so you can identify the gaps and work on them.
I like that. I'm going to switch gears for just a second. And let's talk a little bit about mobility. Everybody's, all day long, you're on your phone, you're checking in, you're getting access to your email and all of that kind of thing. That's also a security risk. And you've got to be able to be both flexible and mobile, but be secure at the same time. So just anybody jump in on this one. I know Mr. Watson has some expertise in this particular area around our Microsoft practice, but for example, how do we protect our mobile workforce in this day and age where everybody's just everywhere trying to get to everything all the time?
And we had a session on that this morning. Intune is, the way that we kind of do some of those where, we're going to make sure that you're either coming from a trusted device or you need to do some extra authentication if it's non-trusted device. So we use the company portal on our phones where if you want email on your phone, you're doing a company portal and your Outlook is kind of segregated off. If you leave, we're going to retire that device, does not wipe the device, pulls that company portal off with all that data. So segregates that out there. We're looking again, we've got remote workers, do they use their personal device, all that. I use my work and personal device, so how can we segregate that out and say, do we want to have everyone use the RDS that's remote or Windows Virtual Desktop rather than a personal device to keep that segregation in there?
Any questions? Good answers. Anybody to add? All right. Kind of speaking about being on your mobile device all the time and wireless, what the heck is 6E and why do I care?
Why do you care about 6E? Today with 2.4 and 5 gigahertz wireless, it's pretty congested, okay? And so Wi-Fi 6E is really high efficiency wireless today. We all know it, 802.11.ax. 6E is going to give us more space, right? More space for more users, higher density deployments. The other thing with Wi-Fi 6E is it's not backwards compatible, so no more older encryption standards, no more WEP, no more, things that would hinder that efficiency or that our ability to provide secure wireless for people.
By the way, I see a 6 on our little Wi-Fi symbol now.
Yes.
There you go. All right, let's talk a little bit about the labor force, or the lack thereof. I think everybody's probably struggled with this. We know we do. We're kind of in this position now that if we find someone who kind of fits with our culture and has some good skills, we're probably going to hire them even if we don't have a position for them right now, because it's just been a real problem to find good, talented people. I'm sure everybody in the room is dealing with that same kind of thing. So, one of the things that High Point has done to address some of that is to roll out this year some services that really kind of help to fill that gap. So, Caleb, that's probably your spot. Just talk to us a little bit about what are we doing and how can that help, and how's it going?
So far, it's been going well, but one of the things that we have seen this year is a lot of clients have lost good people to either another company or to a manufacturer or something like that, and we will often end up taking over some specific element of their environment, whether it be network or firewall or some level of data center services. But we have seen quite a significant growth in that in the last couple of years. So it has been going well, though. I think we've made some very good partnerships with our clients, and everyone seems to be very happy with the services that they're getting.
Yeah, and that's not about taking over, right?
No, it's not. This is all augmentation. We don't look to displace anyone that exists. We don't want to take over an entire IT department. We're really looking to augment in specific elements or specific areas where you want us to.
Very good. We have
Hello?
a question from somewhere.
We actually had a virtual question,
Ooh.
and anyone can answer
Does
this.
that mean it's not a real question?
I think once I ask it, you can make that determination.
Okay, fair enough.
What is the most exciting new technology that you guys see coming to the workplace? That's a really good one.
Ooh, the most exciting new technology coming to the workplace.
Don't all answer at once.
How do I talk about it without mentioning a vendor? That's the... See, I already dug myself in a hole. Well, AI is going to be interesting, right? And in regards to security, we just talked about, workforce and stuff like that. What's AI going to do with that? I mean, frankly, I don't know. It's going to be a lot of speculation, but, are we going to be able to make sense of data, deep data, rich data, these data lakes, data this, data that, a lot better, and make decisions, quick decisions on those? Yes. What is AI in regards to security? In my mind, it ultimately goes to automation. So what you can do today to eventually position yourself for rich AI, true AI, not hype AI. True AI is to simplify, standardize, and once you have those two pieces in place, then you can more easily go to automation. So look for automation and AI to have a big presence going forward. And also the whole zero trust thing, assumed breach, I mean, that ship has left. Another philosophy going forward for the next 20 years, it's all about identity. It's all about data, right? Identity of the user, identity of the machine, identity of the application, behavior, real-time access control based on that, revocation in real time based on behavior analytics. It's going to be a new world going forward, especially as the perimeter now has kind of blurred a little bit. Yeah, well said. Okay.
I'll kind of add to that too, and I won't mention the vendor, but there's a product coming out called CoPilot by someone called, rhymes with Microsoft. There we go. Big hype. They've hyped it up so much, then we've gotten questions on it, and you need to know that it's still 9 to 12 months out. Right now, there's like 10 Fortune 500 companies that are actually in private preview that actually only have like 10 people inside their company that can use it. And the reason why it's so far behind is NVIDIA can't get them enough GPU cards to actually get that up and running because they have a whole data center that they're dedicating to graphics processing for the AI.
I'm going to move to the physical security world just a little bit right now. Sensors in locations where we are not able to put cameras. that still allow us to keep people safe. So sensors that can go into bathrooms, that can detect vape, that can detect gunshots, that can detect screams or cries for help, will be, I think, kind of something new and upcoming and fun world to get into, to secure areas that we weren't able to get eyes on before.
Very cool. Good stuff. Let's talk a little bit more about AI. And I think people think of this as sort of the big enterprise, kind of space. Is there a place for AI in your small, medium business, your ma and pa shops? How do we see that evolving just in this whole AI space? What's going to happen? Tell us what's going to happen, Dean.
Good things, right?
Good things,
I saw
okay.
that movie
I like
with
that.
Schwarzenegger, and no, I don't know. I'm not an AI expert, folks. It's going to be interesting, but AI is going to be a part of our personal lives, our professional lives, whether we like it or not. There's this concept in AI which is kind of unusual, but I guess it's obvious at the same time. I always put a security spin on everything, and I can't remember what the industry is calling it, but it's kind of like dual purpose or dual-sided AI. It's like there's two sides to every coin, and there's basically a good side and a bad side, but it can be a part of the same coin. For example, these guys out in Massachusetts or whatever pharmaceutical, they write an algorithm, the machine starts teaching itself, going through molecule sequences to try to find patterns, proteins, and so forth that will help drive medicine going forward. In other words, good things for the human body. So the researcher goes into the code, he literally flips a 1 to a 0, and now the AI is doing molecule patterns in order to damage the human body. And what I'm saying by that is that this powerful thing that we don't quite understand how it's learning, there's this thing called the hidden layer. It can be used for good things, and in the same sentence, it can be used bad, in bad ways. So it's this whole cat and mouse thing in the security world. It's going to be really interesting in regards to AI. It's like, can we use it ethically? We can probably use it just as equally unethically,
The bad guys are going to be using AI, so the good guys got to figure out how to use it better.
I think it's going to become like Google was for sysadmins and network engineers years and years ago, where it was a wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge that didn't exist previously.
And one thing that you have to think about is AI is not going to be for every employee in your office. That there's products that are coming out that, are $30 a user per month, and people go, I'm never getting it. And well, you may for some of your C-level people, you may for your, some of your project managers, stuff like that. So it's going to be out there, but even mom and pop shops or smaller companies, you just really have to keep in your mind that I don't have to give it to everyone. I only have to give it to the ones that are actually going to be useful with it.
Good answers. I reflect on Lee's from John Deere's presentation today. Fascinating use of AI to really dramatically change an industry, which I think that's just super cool examples. Let's see. Let's stay on the topic of small business for just a second. So what we see in the news and in the papers, we're talking about incident response and ransomware and all that. The big companies get the headlines, right? The big breaches get the headlines. But if I'm running just a small business, I've got a couple of restaurants or some storage facilities or whatever. Do I really have to worry? Is there really a risk for me? Are they going to be coming after me, or are they going for the big guys? Whoever wants to take that.
They're going for the big guys for sure, but they're also looking for opportunities. So just from a general scan of the internet, they're looking for opportunities, looking for the easy ones. And so that means that everyone's at risk. There is no one that's immune from it, because if you're on the internet, you're at risk. So there's definitely the bigger ones that are targets, that's for sure. Data shows that like 1 in 5 of the top biggest companies are gonna get hit in some form or some fashion. But smaller ones maybe not be as targeted, but just as an opportunity. So it doesn't matter your vertical or your size, you definitely have to be concerned and do everything you can to lower your risk.
And I would have to say with that, smaller companies are getting more hit because of the fact of how much easier it is to figure out how to do this stuff. You can go to ChatGPT and say, how do I hack into this person's environment? You can get a younger kid that you didn't give them an extra pickle on their burger when they asked for heavy pickles, that's gonna take it out on you, you know? So it doesn't matter that you're not an enterprise company, but there's gonna be someone that's, you know, the smaller fish is gonna wanna attack somebody. And like I said, with ChatGPT, you can literally type it in, it'll give you the code and tell you how to do it step by step.
Thanks for the instruction to all the potential hackers. We
Yes, ChatGPT, that's how you do it.
appreciate it. Do you have is there a specific web address or anything they should?
ChatGPT.com.
All right.
And
Super.
anybody know the let me Google it for you? There is a let me ChatGPT it for you. So it is out there for everyone that now we're moving to that.
Mr. Watson's favorite phrase,
And-
when you ask him a stupid question.
And Andy, you mentioned headlines, and generally, the smaller companies you don't see in the headlines, unless they have some regulatory reason to make that known. Most of the ones that we work with, you never see a news headline anywhere. So you're not going to see them unless they're required to disclose the breach they had.
Oh, good point, yeah. Anything from the floor? We've got more, I've got more, but.
Should I bribe them with extra drink tickets? I don't know.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Bribe
got
tickets,
extras.
extra drink tickets.
I'll ask one then.
Nice. So staying kind of on the security topic again here. So if you were to, and again, anybody jump in here, is our biggest threat external or is our biggest threat internal, in your opinion?
Yes.
Ah,
Shall we say it's a combination?
okay.
The threat is going to come, the biggest threat is going to come externally, but your biggest internal threat is your users. Because you've put products in place to keep your network safe, and the products and the processes are there, but you can never control a user. And somebody is going to have a bad day occasionally. They're going to be really tired. They're going to accidentally click on a link. They're going to enter their credentials in the wrong space. So how about an external threat comes to an internal user?
Okay, I like that. And then, so how can we, as business people, protect ourselves from both of those, from the internal one? Let's talk about that a little bit more. How do you protect yourself from that?
Training, training, and more training.
Training. Anything to add? All right.
Well, I don't have one. This guy has one.
Yeah, I have a question for you. Is your data safer to putting it into the cloud or keeping it on-prem?
Is your data safer in the cloud or on?
Yes.
Yes. I can have him Google it for you, and we'll get a
No, ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. Sorry.
Come on, give it the times. It honestly depends on how secure you secure it. I mean, you can screw up a cloud security and have it opened up just as much as you can on an on-prem server, without having the right ACLs or permissions to get to a file. We've ran into a company where the HR folder was open to everyone. No, not everyone went to it, but they could have, So do you need to review some of that? Yes. So the conference I was in Atlanta 2 weeks ago, one of the questions that was brought up is Microsoft forcing people to the cloud. They're not forcing you, but they're giving you more of the security features and features in the cloud. So that's the good way to put it is, are you going to get more of that security, conditional access features, and some of those other features in the cloud for your data? Yes. If you have some regulations where it needs to stay on-prem, then you need to keep it on-prem. But again, it's how well do you secure each area?
Yeah, the breaches that we've helped with, it's been both. We've seen companies that had their data in the cloud that were breached and that data was destroyed, as well as on-prem. So it's wherever it is, it's got to be secured. Doesn't matter where it lives, it has to be secured.
And I'm hearing you say, don't leave it up to somebody else to secure your data wherever it is.
That's like if people ask me, you know, is Microsoft HIPAA compliant? Yes. Is your tenant HIPAA compliant? No, because you have not turned everything on to become HIPAA compliant or secure. So that's where you on the back end as IT people need to remember that you have to set some of those policies. Security defaults will give you some, you know, some of the direction that you need to go, but it's only going to give you the bare minimum. It's not going to make you compliant at anything.
All right, somebody grab this one. Immutable storage. It's fun to say, isn't it? Immutable. I love that word. But educate me a little bit about immutable storage. What does it really mean? Why do I care? And is it a good thing to be immutable? Am I immutable? I don't know.
I don't think you're immutable,
Okay,
Andy.
all right, fair enough.
Immutable storage is basically any storage or any target that you write data to that won't allow the data to be changed in any way until a certain time period that you've defined expires. Typically, it's used for backup storage. Our recommendation is to use both local and cloud-based immutability. And the reason for that is simply that if for some reason someone was able to physically destroy something locally, God forbid, you would still have data in the cloud. And at the same time, if you were to also suffer a ransomware attack that was able to encrypt everything locally, you would still have that ability that Sean mentioned earlier with having your data available locally to recover it in a more timely fashion. But if the worst happens and you do lose that data locally, you would still have that same data in the cloud that is immutable, wouldn't be changed in any case.
Okay. And let me kind of tag onto that one because it kind of goes along nicely with one of these here. So speaking of in the recovery process from an outage, whatever that was, disaster recovery, what are the best practices to get there? And what's the difference? It's a two-part question. And what's the difference between disaster recovery and business continuity? Ooh.
As
They're
part of the
often confused, I think.
business continuity team at Citibank, right? We had five environments for every prod, whatever, right? We had test, dev, UAT, production, and continuity of business, right? So you blow production away, continuity of business takes over, nobody notices, right? All the way down from human operations, telephone, unified communications to systems, databases, networking, whatever else. That, to me, is continuity of business. Disaster recovery is...
Part of business continuity. Sure.
Yeah. The ability to recover quickly. Dwayne talked about recovery point objectives, recovery time objectives, you know, have those conversations. Those should be business decisions, right? What is my business tolerance for being down? How quickly do I want to get back up? How much data am I willing to lose in the meantime? And those business decisions will then drive your backup and recovery architecture, technology, and strategy. Those are not, I feel like a parent, those are not IT decisions. Those are business decisions enabled by IT.
You're just angling for a free drink, aren't you?
She already gave me
okay,
those.
all
So,
right.
All right.
Chris, you said you could type into ChatGPT how to hack. You also said data in the cloud is HIPAA compliant. If I were to ask ChatGPT, how do I make my on-prem data HIPAA compliant? Will it give me accurate information? Have you tried that?
I have not, but I'm sure it would tell you something. Now, the thing with ChatGPT is, and I'm pulling this number out of thin air, It's only data from like 3 years ago. It is not live data. This is literally data from 3 years ago that cannot be changed. You know, it's not something where somebody can go in and, you know, change a bunch of stuff and make it like Wikipedia. You know, that's not what this is going to be. And at some point, we're gonna need to figure out where do we put that line of where can it pull data from and how fast can it pull the data from, because that's where that corruption is gonna start as well. Does that answer your question? It's going to slowly come up and get to that point. The CoPilot that I was talking about will actually go out and Bing it. There we go. I had to remember the name, not the other one. It goes out and bings it and brings in that data from whatever Bing is telling it.
Bing it. I think we have time for one more quick one.
Yeah, so we've got a couple minutes. We got
And do you
time
have
for
any
one
in
more
the room?
question.
I've got one
Okay,
more.
well,
if not-
I've got two, and I'm
Okay,
gonna get
let's-
them both, so we got time for both. I see you.
Okay.
How do you solve the problem of unstructured data and just eliminating that?
The nightmare of unstructured data, and what do you do about it?
Delete it all.
Seriously, let's talk after this, yeah. It's the most difficult thing that I've ever tried to do. I've tried to do it with 2 former employees, and I can't say that I ever succeeded at it. So let's have a talk. There's another person we can bring in too.
Unstructured and undocumented.
Yeah, right, yeah, right, no, yeah. Structured data versus unstructured, how do you take care of it? Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
Pass.
We recently implemented 2FA in our district, and I'm wondering if passwordless authentication is worth exploring, or is that just something that's here now and something better is going to come along before we start spending money on going to the next best thing?
Yep, and in fact, we just talked about this at my last breakout session, that I myself use Passwordless. I know there's some other people inside of High Point that use Passwordless. If I need to log into Outlook.com, I go there, I put in my username, I hit next, it pops up the thing, just like the Microsoft Authenticator app. Put in your number, you know, hit enter and push the button on the side, and you're in. I never once had my password. I know we had some pen testing way back when of, you know, if I got phished, what does it do for a password? And that password field is blank. So we've worked out sometimes, or some ways of where you have some employees that if it's all web-based, you can literally get it to a point where they don't even have a password that you need to give them. You know, they can do a key fob, they can do a whatever. You know, we're starting to look at some more of the remote workers, they can use their, you know, their username, passwordless, but if they're not on a work computer, they may have to use like a token key where they push the button on the side, enter in a PIN, and they're in. So MFA, the passwordless, I love it. It's been around for years, and do it. Get it turned on, get it pushed out, works great. I don't remember my password, to be honest with you.
Very good. All right, I think we're out of time.
We are out of time unless someone has one last question. All right.
Thank you to the panel. Appreciate your expertise, and thanks for the answers. If you'll want to hang around a couple of minutes, I'm